This is going to be hugely exciting, and the track is wet. We knew that weather was going to come into it. We weren't quite expecting it, though, at the start of the race. So who's going to plump for what tyres, and who will be leading down towards the first corner, crucially, as well. Kylian Drumont starts as one on pole position, a legacy of his victory in the sprint race. He's joined on the front row by his countryman, Thomas Leboutelet. Sasaki heads row 2. And he has got Kai de Bruin for company, unlucky to miss out on a podium here earlier on. Pol Jura heads the third row of the grid, and he's got Valerio Gallo alongside him. Gallo, of course, making good progress, as we said, in that sprint race. Jose Serrano next up in P7, and Takuma Miyazono, who is the favourite in the Predict the Winner campaign, lines up P8 with Adriana Corazza very close behind, and then Angel Inestrosa, the two South Americans, on the penultimate row of the grid. Guy Barbara in 11th position, and rounding it out is Samuel Cardinal, the Canadian. So we know the track is wet, and everybody has decided to start on the intermediate compound of tyre. We're looking at the fact that there's some wet patches, but they're mostly offline here, Jimmy. That seems pretty sensible to me. Yeah, but it does mean if you're going side by side with someone, there are patches of the circuit that your intermediate tyre are not going to be able to deal with. So it's something to think about when overtaken. Also, is that these guys, I can guarantee they practice mostly in the dry. So this is going to be maybe uncharted territory for them. I expect they'll struggle a little bit, but it'll definitely make the racing more entertaining, I think. Certainly will. Well, penny for the thoughts of that man, Kylian Drumont, and what's going to be running through his mind at the moment. Sitting on pole position with his countryman Thomas Leboutelet behind. They put in a great formation in that sprint race, but can they repeat it here in this grand final? They're out of the final corner and coming to the timing line. This, of course, is the all-important race for points for Gran Turismo World Series 2 for the Nations Cup. We drive to the line here at the Red Bull Ring. Weather in play and 30 laps of action to come. The lights go green and we go racing for the grand final of the Nations Cup here in Berlin. So Drumont leads them up to turn 1, and then Leboutelet, then Sasaki, but it's turn 3, the first big braking zone. That's the real opportunity for overtaking, and Drumont, of course, does not have the advantage of the slipstream, but he did have the advantage of a nice clean run out of the first corner. Sasaki looks to try and pounce here on Leboutelet. On the brakes we go. It's very close behind there as well. Serrano versus Jura. De Bruyn's into the side of Sasaki as well. That's going to drop Sasaki down a few places, and Gallo is now through on his inside as well as Pol Jura. So 2 places lost in the space of 1 corner there for Takuma Sasaki. Not the start of the race he'll have wanted. Gallo, meanwhile, is on the inside of Jura and looks like he's made it stick down into turn 5. Serrano versus Miyazono side by side in the background. Action everywhere you look on the start of this race. Yeah, 3 places now lost for Sasaki. Gallo up 2, Kai de Bruin up 1 now. I'm sure the stewards will be having a little look at that one. It's quite an aggressive move there. Serrano now getting by Sasaki. That's 4 places lost for the Japanese driver, and now he's back with his countryman Takuma Miyazono. A terrible start there for the Japanese driver, but it just goes to show that qualifying doesn't always guarantee you a good start to the race. On board now, Sasaki, and look, he's that far back from where he started. You can see the spray being kicked up on the cars in front. Does hamper visibility a little bit, but not too much, enough to still see where you're going. But onto lap 2 now. The driver's using all the curb on the exit there, so confident to do that on this intermediate tyre. But got to be careful, because they might still find a wet patch yet. Yep, Corazza's lost a couple of places from where he started. Gallo was the big winner on the opening lap. He made up 2 positions into P4. Into the braking zone of turn 3 we go. The closing speed there always makes me wince a little bit, because they absolutely slam it on the anchors and just about get it stopped before making contact with the other drivers. Now Jura and Serrano, they're in formation here in 5th and 6th position. Can the 2 Spaniards, who of course I remind you were the top 2 finishers in the reverse order of where they are now in the first World Series event back in June. So Serrano and Jura with a lot of work to do in 6th and 5th place there respectively. Kai de Bruin meanwhile up into 3rd, but we know that incident on the first lap at the moment is under investigation. Yeah, we'll see what the stewards say on that one, but meanwhile it's Drumont, Leboutelet, de Bruin. Drumont with a 1 second gap as it is. So here's a replay. Didn't see this one. This is Corazza on board, P9 currently. On the brakes. Oh, yeah, pump into the back of Miyazono there, and Guy Barbara in contact. I mean, you drove in the back of him. I don't know what you want to say about that one. Yeah, not ideal at all there for Adriana Corazza. We know he's not afraid of getting his elbows out, and often gets into a bit of trouble for it as well. The upshot is he's down in 11th position, so not good at all there for him. Guy Barbara was the big sort of profit on that. Here's Kai de Bruin attacking against Thomas Leboutelet. Disappointed to miss out on that podium in the sprint race was de Bruin. He makes amends for it with a send to the inside down into turn 3, and up into 2nd position is the Dutchman then. Great start to this race then here for him so far.
Kai de Bruyne looking strong today here at Berlin. I mean, could this finally be the time we see Kai battle for a win here? I don't know. Too early.
Now you've done it.
I probably jinxed it, but yeah, on lap 3 of a 30 lap race, is that what you call it?
Well, look, we're on lap 3, Jimmy, but I have to say, look at the circuit. You can see a few dry lines sort of just beginning to start appearing there, and I'm interested to see how much the spray is going to start to dissipate over the course of this one, because if there's no active rain falling, of course, these intermediate tyres, they're working all right here so far, but when's the crossover point going to come where you're going to think about dry tyres? There we are, look at the crossover lap times. Where are we now in terms of them? We're 1:13s, we're not too far away from that dry tyre, really.
Yeah, we're about there, so basically it's just who wants to blink first, because one, the tyre's got to come up, and two, the racetrack becomes a lot narrower when you go onto that soft tyre, because if you even touch a wet patch, you get, and I speak from experience, you go flying off into the undergrowth. So no further action there from the start of the race. So Kai de Bruyne second place, and now they're catching Kylian Drumont.
And look at Valerio Gallo, he's bringing himself right into the picture here then as well. Corazza, Barbara and Miyazono are under investigation for that first corner skirmish that we saw a few moments ago. But now you've got 3 drivers lining astern. Oh, was there a bit of contact there between Labuschagne and De Bruyne down into turn 4?
And there might have been, I'm not sure, we didn't get a good angle of it. Kai de Bruyne now defend from Labuschagne, they just chopped across the nose there of the French driver, saying, no thank you sir, I'm taking this for now. But yeah, it might have been a smattering of contact, but I'm sure. So in the midfield, we're just behind this now. We have the Spanish Euro and Serrano. Gallo there moving offline. Maybe to try and break the toe, maybe to try and cool the tyres down, because it looks like we are, you can see now, a dry line forming. So we are getting to the point now, I think, where they'll be starting to consider the idea of the soft compound tyre. I wonder who's going to blink first.
Well, that's all well and good, but look at the clouds overhead. I mean, some of them are looking still pretty dark in the distance there, aren't they? Oh, De Bruyne's wide out of turn 1, isn't he, here? That's going to put Labuschagne right on his rear wing, and also allow an opportunity for Valerio Gallo as we come into turn 3. So into the braking zone we go. Labuschagne's got the inside line. Gallo's got the momentum, but no room to use it. Oh, and a biff into the back there as Jura, sort of half-season opportunity, but makes a bit of a meal of his braking and has to back out of it and just allow Gallo an opportunity to hold on to that 4th place.
Yeah, a bit clumsy by Jura there, just sort of running into the back of Gallo. There's nowhere to go there, run into the back of him. So I don't think there'll be a penalty or anything, but just maybe a little warning from the steward saying, come on, keep it clean. We've got a long race to go yet, boys, so don't be shunting each other on lap 5. Kai de Bruyne falling back a little bit from Drumont after that mistake at G1, but it just goes to show how narrow the margins are. Again, the sideways moment for Kai de Bruyne. He's really struggling now on these inters. Maybe he's burned them up.
I was just about to say,
that way.
Yeah, I was overheating the tyres now then here. I mean, in terms of the tyre wear, they're all about sort of the same. Oh, Labuschagne's the first driver to blink, so P3, Labuschagne's come in. We were asking that at the end of the last lap, and at the end of this one, Labuschagne's come in. He's going to stick a set of, surely, soft tyres on, because if the rain is going to be set to come down later on, if you stuck anything other than softs on, you'd be a bit of a wally, to be honest with you. Onto the soft he goes. Labuschagné out and into the circuit, but where's he going to emerge?
Well, I don't understand though, surely. If you're like Cardinal and Estroza, Corazza, you take a punt too. You go for it, because you're not going to catch him on speed at that point. But I would love to see how Labuschagne handles this as Gallo comes under attack from Jura. Jura up the inside, Serrano's going to follow him through. They come 2 at a time to the Spaniards, and there comes Jura. Can Serrano make it through as well, using the draft of Jura, who pulls across to help his compatriot? That's teamwork there. These guys are working together.
I love that. And Sasaki's there sort of lurking in the background here, isn't he, after the challenging start that the Japanese driver has had to this race. I really am not sure what's going on with Takuma Miyazono at the moment, by the way. We're used to seeing him up the sharp end pretty consistently throughout this one. And, normally we see him doing a bit of a different strategy, so he'll be a bit all over the place. But, here in these conditions, you have no choice but to be on the tyres that you're on, really. He's not made much of an impression at all here tonight.
No, not really. Just maybe not gelling. He's been very busy. He's driving real life now in the NLS and Nürburgring Langstrecke series. And might I say, by the way, fastest Sector 2 by Thomas de Boutelet.
So soft tyres are the way to go. There we go. Serrano and Barbara ready to take profit of that one. They've listened to the advice. Now, the question is, have they chosen the right tyre? Because look, the dry line, very much prominent here. You can see it's pretty slick still, though, offline. You've got to be quite careful, because you dive to the inside, even though you've got those slick tyres on in particular, and you're sending it through, you're not going to get the car stopped, because you're just going to have no grip coming into the braking zone. On the intermediate tyres, you might be all right if you've got enough rubber left underneath you, and you've not burned them up. But this is the problem. All the while they're on this drying circuit, they're going to be slower than the soft shell runners who are just going to be closing that gap down, even though they're at the back of the field.
Lap times are falling, Tom. 14, 15 second, 1:15 some people there from the 1:13 from earlier on. These intermediate tyres are just falling apart. They've got to get onto a soft tyre. Laboutale, I think, has called it well, because we'll see how he is through that middle sector and what his lap time is. He's not set a full lap time yet without a outlap. So we've got 1:13.0 to beat. I won't be surprised to see him dip into the 12s here, and he'll be the overall leader when they all pit.
No doubt about it. Now, do the top two come into the pit lane and blink the other way? Have to. Yeah, no worries. So, Ura in there as well. Gallo surely is going to follow them. I just reckon we're going to see a flying formation with everybody else coming into the box, because any longer on that one, it used to be a bit of a fool, really. You have to sit for the current conditions. But the question is, Laboutale, Serrano and Barbara, what sort of inroads have they been able to make relative to the other drivers around them? The question will be here for Laboutale in particular, because he was the first driver to blink, and has he got the lead of the race back here from Kilian Drumont as a result of that early pit stop? Comes out of the first corner, and he is now back into the lead of the race, and he's got a bit of a cushion here, and Serrano's picked his pocket there as well, so that's worked out quite nicely there for Jose Serrano, who now splits the two Frenchmen in second.
Laboutale went 6/10 faster than anyone on his first full lap there on the slick tyre, so that was the right choice. I'd say maybe they all boxed a little bit too late. It was a bit of a gamble by Laboutale, but it did pay off. It's put him at the front and the back now, and everybody else who sort of followed suit, Serrano boxed early as well, has moved them on a few paces, so that was the right choice to do that. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if it continues this way, if it continues to dry, or whether we're due more rain or not.
Yeah, the clouds you can see looking still pretty menacing overhead. There's a big dark one right up in the middle of the middle sector there, and I mean, look, I'm no weather expert, but I have lived in Great Britain for pretty much all of my life. I have to say, that is looking pretty menacing, pretty ominous indeed. You had no choice but to change over to the dry tyres. If you try and eke it out on the intermediate tyres, you're going to hemorrhage so much time that anything you'd have gained from not making that extra pit stop, you'd have ended up losing from the fact that everybody else around you would have been so much faster. So they had no other choice but to blink at that point, and it's been a great profit there for Thomas Laboutale and for Jose Serrano. And let's see now what happens with the weather. If it starts to fall in a light intensity, they might be all right if they can keep heat into the tyres. But if it's an absolute deluge, intermediates or wet, they've got to be the only way to go. And do you blink early? Do you chance it and hope that it'll dry up and then wait till later? It's a proper gamble, a proper guessing game that no one really knows how to work out.
You've got to just drive to the conditions at this point. It is dry, the dry tyre is faster, stay on that tyre. I mean, you can't just go, oh, it looks a bit cloudy out, I'm going to switch to the wet. You'll just lose all your time you've gained. But you can see out there, it is slippery. It's not full slick conditions yet. There is a dry line, yes, but there's also a lot of wet on the circuit still. And if you catch that in this car, the crash happens so quickly you don't even realise what's happened. You're already in the wall. So right now, Laboutale, Serrano handling up the best. Now 1-2 Serrano, again, from someone who seemed a bit anonymous in the sprint race, is just doing what he does, climbing up the field, and is now looking at the back of the leader and gaining. Well, can we see another win maybe for Jose Serrano today? It's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, Jose Serrano has absolutely come alive here in this grand final. He's got the overspeed. First corner, not really the place you're going to be making a pass. Needs to hope that he gets a strong exit out of there, but has a bit of a slide actually on the curb there. Laboutale gets great attraction, and that just denies an opportunity for Serrano to try and launch an attack into turn 3. No dive bombs into there, not at this stage of the race. We're only 1/3 through out of the race distance, but look at how dark that cloud is looking overhead. Look at how ominous it is here at the Red Bull Ring. And now Serrano closer than ever before on Thomas Laboutale, who goes for a sort of half defensive line down that back straight, but holds on to the race lead coming into 4.
Now he's at the back of this little train. It's Guy Barbara. He's managed to bring himself back up from pretty much the back of the grid up to P7 now, only a couple of seconds off the lead. I mean, it is the back of his train, but he's there. If there's a mistake, he will be there to capitalise. So good performance so far from the Australian driver. Again, we see this every time. He makes a mistake, comes back through, and then finishes pretty high, but could have done better if he qualified well. It's just, he needs to get that qualifying sorted, I think.
Yeah, that was his Achilles heel. You know, they sort of put him on the back foot courtesy of the fact that he started right down the field in the sprint race. Look at the live points rankings. If it landed as it was now, it would be great for Jose Serrano, because he would have a bit of a comfortable cushion going into the penultimate round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Los Angeles in November. But there's plenty of time between now and when the checkered flag will fly here in this race. On board we are here with Kai de Bruyne. ever the opportunist, ever chasing his first podium in the GT World Series. Into turn 3 we go. And such is the legacy of the race that we've had here for this one, that we haven't really had any breakaway battles, no divergence on soft, medium or hard compounds or strategies. That's why we're on lap 11 and you've got, 6 or 7 drivers all separated by a second or so effectively out on track.
Yeah, I mean, it is that close right now, and it will continue to be that close until the checkered flag falls, I imagine, as we keep watching Jose Serrano. The thing is, if you make a move, you just open yourself up to attack from somewhere else, so you really have to make sure you are 100% sure you want to do that. You've got to be decisive. Gallo right now, they're looking onto the wet line. I always get a bit scared when they do that, but yeah, they managed to seem to make the tyre work even whilst dousing it in water. So here we are then. The top 6, that's 6 drivers there in that frame. They're there. So close right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, they're all sort of keeping their powder dry. I mean, they're looking a bit scrappy coming down this start-finish race, thinking about a bit of a move, but no one's really doing a big send to the inside at the moment. They know it's a long race. They know that the likelihood is, I mean, look, in the background there, it all looks nice and calm and cool in terms of the weather, but Inestrosa has just come into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. Is he going to do a bit of an alternate strategy? He's gone to the intermediate tyre. I mean, I haven't seen these spots of rain, unless there's a couple of spots coming on the sort of front canopy of that Rebel X 2019. But I mean, look, Inestrosa, he's so far down the order. Trying something different is, it's something, isn't it? But
why?
If the track's bone dry, that's why. The weather radar, I suppose, he's probably looking at.
Yeah, but right now, it is still slick tyres. It's what I mean. Like, you can't. For this, you can't go, right, I'm going to think in 7D, but right, it will rain. I say that kind of Bruin runs into the back. What happened there? Serrano's slow. Still slow. I think Kai's looking a bit puzzled too.
Yeah, I think basically what happened, Serrano must have had a moment there and he just backed the rest of them up then, didn't he? Here, Drumont's got a warning there.
Maybe that was it. He just,
for a collision.
Just nipped him maybe and slowed him down. Kind of Bruin now right on the back of the Frenchman's X 2019. Nothing really to do here. I don't see any rain, Tom. I mean, the radar there's some, but there's nothing on the canopy. And again, in real life, you don't box until the slicks can't take it anymore.
Yeah, you're not at the crossover point, no doubt about it. The thing is, the rain coming down on the canopy, fine, looks particularly spectacular as we see Drumont versus Serrano side by side into turn 3. Serrano holds firm, but runs a bit deep actually on the apex, and that might allow Drumont to close up onto the exit of the corner. Goes off onto the sort of wetter part of the circuit here and down in towards turn 4. He's got the inside line, but has he got the grip under braking? He has. Drumont is through, and on the inside of Jose Serrano. Oh, look at that for Kai de Bruin. Beautiful. On the inside, the door was open, and Kai de Bruin gladly walked through it.
You don't have to ask him, do you? He always say, all right, okay, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Any opportunity. And Kai is on. I've got to admire that driving style. Super aggressive, super opportunistic, and up to P3 now.
He's like a Jack Russell, isn't he, Kai de Bruin? He's sort of, yapping away at your heels and then out over your shoulder. It's just sort of
a very tall Jack Russell.
Very tall Jack Russell indeed. Well, he is Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfair.
So, look, Inestrosa, just to finish that thought, by the way, he's 22 seconds off the back, but exactly as you say, all the while you're keeping heat in those slick tyres, there's no need to change over to the intermediates because you're just not putting, you're not running out of grip or anything like that. And I started to get his point, but now look at the weather radar. It's changed back to slick. So unless he's just tippy-toe round, but you've got to keep a level of pace up.
You've got to ignore that radar. Obviously it gives you an idea of what's coming, but you are there. You are the best place, the best person to determine what tyres you've got to be on. That's what they always say to me on the radio when we're racing around the North Cypher. They say, you tell us. And just saying, oh, well, the radar says, yeah, but it's bone dry. Don't go onto a wet tyre. Look, he was 3 seconds slower than that in Inestrosa. Any advantage he might have gained is already gone. He's losing time every lap now.
I always remember, do you remember the 2009 Malaysian Grand Prix? Particularly weird sort of thing to get into, I know. But it was a race that was affected by rain. It ended up not going the full race distance, but there was a strategy there where Ferrari went onto the wet tyres on a bone-dry circuit. Anyway, get away from that diversion because look, everybody else is now coming in. They've got to be coming in for intermediate tyres, surely. So the top 3, Labouchelet, Drumont and De Bruin, have all come into the pit lane. They've gone for intermediate tyres. Serrano, Ura, etc. have all stayed out here. Now, are they going to take advantage? Lap times, they're in the 1:11. They're easily slick tyres last time around. Unless they're expecting an absolute deluge on this lap. I don't know. Is that the right call?
It's not raining, boys. What's going on? I'm sitting here like wondering. I mean, maybe they can see something we can't. I mean, but again, I can see there is. We have a weather radar here. I mean, hopefully we can show you guys on screen as well, so we can see that here is the weather radar. We can see that there is some rain coming, but can you see rain now? No! What's going on?
Oh, Leboutelet and De Bruyne there. So De Bruyne's managed to take profit of that one. So he's now ahead of the two Frenchmen. Of course, Leboutelet, just to remind you, was in the race lead prior to this one. So, is this the effective race lead, or is now this the time for Jose Serrano Pol Jura to start coming to the fore? Now there is the rain on the canopy for the first time. But of course they've waited a lap later. They'll have been puppy and sex times. They're going around another time. So they're thinking we're nowhere near the crossover point, but are they going to be waiting that little bit too long? Because now the rain's coming down at a heavier intensity here. Miyazono and Karatza subsequently have blinked at the end of lap 16. They've decided they're going for intermediates.
They're just going to risk it, I think, and try and save the pit stop. If you can do that and hang it out, you save a pit stop. I was speaking to our co-commentator Florian Strauss. No, it's the wrong choice. Look at this. It is definitely the wrong choice. The slick tyres have nothing. But then again, that the rain is almost stopped again. Maybe it's drier at this point of the circuit. Of course, the rain moves over the track, so not all of it is wet at once.
Just to give some clarification for the audience, by the way, the weather radar, when it's a light blue, that's sort of a light rain. When it gets to dark blue, that's a heavy rain. When it's green, duck and find cover and get a boat with 2 oars rather than a Red Bull X2019 with wet tyres, to be honest with you, is probably the best solution. Right, so it's pretty wet in the first part of the first sector that we can see. The middle sector looks all right, though, to be honest with you. Can't see too much rain that's affecting this part of the circuit. Now the question is, how much time for the likes of Leboutelet, De Bruyne and Drummond, who all boxed at the end of the last lap, how much time are they going to be gaining or losing relative to the top 4 who are still on the slick tyres? The opportunity is there for these slick runners, but, are the track conditions meeting what they're expecting?
Well, here's where it's wettest. It's down here at T1 going up towards T2 and T3, and that's where we saw Gallo really struggle. But let's have a look now as they come through. It looks like it's dry. So I think by staying out, making that right call, the water's been cleared up pretty much instantly. I mean, these things are pretty much vacuum cleaned water. The water gets just thrown up and off into oblivion. So staying on this soft tyre was the right choice, because now they don't have to box off it again. They're on the right tyre at this time. If it does continue to rain, then you come in a box. But I think braving that out was the right choice, and only 4 cars have done that. Serrano, Jura, Gallo and Guy Barbara.
But Drummond has just lost a place to Takuma Sasaki, who's braved it out on the soft compactor tyre and is now taking profit of those runners who went for the intermediate tyres in this middle stint of the race, and now they're hemorrhaging time relative to those around. I mean, like lap times wise, last time around, Jose Serrano on the soft tyres, 1:16.6. Leboutelet was a 1:13, but this time it's going to be surely the converse of that, because the rain has stopped and the track conditions are falling back. Or is it though? I say that, now the top 3 are coming into the pits. Is Guy Barbara going to follow them in, or is he going to go bold with the strategy? No, he comes in as well. He's following the leaders because he's now gained track position pretty much from right at the back of the field. So they're going on to the intermediate tyres about 2 laps later than the top 3. So now let's see how this is ebb and flowed. Don't forget, Leboutelet and Drummond were at the front of this race along with Serrano prior to the pit stops. Now with the reverse of that, it's Leboutelet, De Bruyne and Drummond who lead this race, with Serrano in 4th. Karatza's up to 5th position here, and Jura is down to 6th place. So those who did pit earlier for those intermediate tyres ultimately have managed to take profit of that.
See a lot of confused faces in the audience. Don't worry, us too. We're trying to work it out as we go at the moment. But what I would love to see now is that weather radar, because guess what? Rain's here once again, but there are people out there on significantly newer intermediate tyres than the rest. So have to wonder if they just saw this coming, because you can only go so far out on the weather radar. You can't go too far, but that cloud looks ominous. Leboutelet, De Bruyne and Drummond 1, 2, 3. Serrano 4th as well. Really, and that pack who stayed out, who braved it, actually lost out, which I don't see how that makes sense. My brain can't get around that.
So I kind of get what you're saying, but yeah, look, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, look at the sky. It's like a British summer's day, this. It's dark on one part of it, and look at the rain now. It's coming down in a very heavy intensity, heavier than we've seen it over the course of this one. Now, the question is, how long are these intermediate tyres going to hold up? And those who pitted earlier on, of course, their intermediate tyres are going to be a lot more worn than those who pitted 2 laps later, because the track wasn't wet enough at the time. They were burning up, they were overheating those intermediate tyres. So if you're on the Inters now, fine, have you got the grip underneath you because you might have burnt those tyres out a bit sooner, or are you going to still have the grip underneath you because the rain might be falling heavier?
And of course, bear in mind, the way the intermediate tyres wear is you basically burn the tread away. So if it gets wetter, you lose the ability to move the water in the same way you would with a fresh intermediate tyre. So you start getting into a lot of levels of thinking here, trying to work out what is the best way to do it. And the thing is, in real life racing, you will have a team on the end of your radio telling you what the best opportunity is.
Look at the tyres.
They've got to do it all themselves.
Look at the tyres there. So you can see the top three who pitted earlier for the intermediate tyres. Their tyres are significantly more warm relative to the likes of Serrano and Gallo and Ura. Ura, meanwhile, has just lost a place to Valerio Gallo, who's made a overtake on Ura for 6th position. But, yeah, so you can see that those who pitted later on, of course, have got more tyre left, as you would begin to expect. Now Le Boutelet is challenging with De Bruyne. Side by side we go. Le Boutelet still holds firm in the race lead as De Bruyne sort of had a half look to the inside going down the start-footed straight, but couldn't quite make it stick. So we're 2/3 done here in this race. We're on board here with Drumont, spray being thrown in front of him effectively from the cars, and we head into the braking zone of turn 3. So this is your battle for the race lead, but how is this one going to ebb and flow in terms of the weather? I mean, look at the sky. It looks pretty clear, pretty okay.
Kylie Bruin got the run on the Buta there on the outside, better off the exit, just came off the racing line. Good launch there, looking around the outside. Can he make it stick on the Frenchman? He can. Right around the outside goes Kylie Bruin, back up into the lead of the race. Really nice move there by the Dutch driver. But as you say, Tom, I mean, like we haven't got a weather radar here on screen right now, so I can't tell you what's coming and what isn't, but the skies look good. I think we're going to go back towards maybe a drier circuit. So, I mean, the question remains, do you reckon you could have kept out the soft tyres? I don't think so. I think that'll be too much.
Well, look, let's park that thought for now. The question now is, look, it looks dry. It looks perfect overhead as you see the two Frenchmen squabbling for second place here with Le Boutelet and Drumont. But can you now go to the end of the race on the intermediate tyres, or are you going to have to make another pit stop and go to dry tyres if it dries out towards the end of this one? There's so much going on in this one, and the upshot is now, for the first time, Kai De Bruyne it is that leads from Kilian Drumont, Le Boutelet in second, Serrano in third. You've got four drivers there separated by about 1.5–2 seconds or so as they come on the run into turn 3, and now Kai De Bruyne, the Dutchman, leads a race for the first time in the grand finals in the Nations Cup.
What an introduction there to Dunlops, to this series. Pretty much all that tyres being used at once in this race. Cool to see. But now, yeah, as you say, it's a matter of how long until the track dries out again. We said crossover time. It's about 1 minute 13 or so from the intermediate to the soft compounder tyre. Last lap time for context for our leader, Kai De Bruyne, 1:16.5. So we're not quite there yet, but Miyazono managed a 15:1. So the time is there. And that 15:1, by the way, that was on a older set of tyres. Not the oldest set on the grid, but an older set of tyres. So, well, there you are, last lap on your screen there. So, we're approaching it, but we're not quite there yet. But it's one of those big calls. If you're Guy Barber or something, make the call early, have a go. Why the hell not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Guy Barber was, as you saw earlier on, he was right up the sharp end of this one. The upshot is, because he pitted when he did, he lost a bit of track position and is now down into 8th position. You can see further behind there as well, you've got the likes of Gallo with Carazza and Ura all squabbling for places. Guy Barber celebrated his birthday yesterday. Would love to give himself a birthday present of a podium finish as we ride on board here with Jose Serrano, who's now all over the rear wing of Le Boutelet into the braking zone of turn 3. Has he got the grip on the outside? They run side by side, but he'll have a face on the curb. He's got the traction though. Wow. He's got the overspeed. That's absolutely beautiful from Jose Serrano, who's now through it into third place and fancies a nibble at Kilian Drumont second before too long. Not quite down into turn 4, but he's certainly getting the hurry up.
For Serrano's Dunlop intermediates are significantly newer than Drumont's and De Bruyne's in front. That might play into this race. I've just seen our radar we have on our screen here. There is still a little bit of rain left, but after that it seems to be, that's it, dry. So I feel as if we're going to be going back to soft tyres at some point in this race. When, though, that's up to the drivers. As Serrano now is right on the back of Drumont. Is he going to go for a move? He's got so much more speed right now than the drivers in front of him. Has Serrano played a blinder here? I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. This guy is a past winner, one last time out of London. He's a Nations Cup champion from 2023 in the team format. never cut him out.
Do you know what this race reminds me of? Do you remember World Series 2 in Prague last year? Hengste versus Bedima. Oh, De Bruyne, by the way, was just a little bit wide over the curb there. Drummond, I beg your pardon. That might have cost him a bit of drive coming in towards turn 3 and allowed Serrano to attack. But Hengste versus Bedima last year, we saw a great battle in exactly the same conditions as this. And now look at the drive that Serrano gets on the exit of turn 3. He's in the slipstream here of Kylian Drummond. Drummond's going to defend this line surely to the inside and force Serrano to the outside. You can make a move stick through there. He needs a good grip under braking and a willing dance partner. Drummond tries to squeeze him. Serrano's there, but he gets a face full of curb as Drummond holds the line for second and holds on for now the charge of Opkin and holds on for now the charge of the flying Spaniards.
Drummond there just walking me out to the outside of the circuit saying no thank you son. Here's on board the Paul Euro replay. Oh, right into the back of Gallo. Hits Gallo again. Second time this race he's done that.
Yeah, no grip undertaking there for Euro, just plants it into the back of Gallo. He in turn then goes into the side of Adriano Carazza, who's on the receiving end of that one. Serrano having a look, he's got more grip, he's trying to use it to his advantage to the inside of the final corner. What a lunge from Jose Serrano. He's now through and into second. He wants to get 2 wins from 2 World Series events. It compromised his run though out of the final corner. Could leave him vulnerable, but I think he just about gathers it up okay.
I'm starting to see a little bit of a dry line emerge there, Tom, and I think if you're Kai De Bruyne, those rear tyres are going off pretty, you can see here, they're going off pretty bad like. Same with Stroza. I mean, his race isn't really going to affect the rest of this race here, but Kai De Bruyne, Drummond and Labuche have something to think about very soon. Serrano, though, he can probably drag those down. Look at how much faster he is. He's already on the back of Kai De Bruyne, going down into T4 here. What do you make a go of it? He gets very close to the Dutchman, but look at the amount of speed he has over the car in front. It's only a matter of time. It has to be. Serrano will be leading this race if he can get by Kai De Bruyne.
De Bruyne's going to defend this one here in the middle sector. No surprise there at all. Rose is going to surely go into the soft tyres. Nothing to lose there for him right at the back. But at the sharp end of this one, De Bruyne, he's all over the road. He's just got no grip underneath him. Serrano's going to drive by like he's left the handbrake on. There's contact as they come through the exit of the right-hander. Serrano though with the inside line, and now the lead of the race for the first time. Jose Serrano for Spain is in front here in the grand final, and he's got 6 laps separating him from his second victory in succession.
I don't think there's enough time to come in and put the softs on for it to make a difference.
I think you're right. I was just about to say, you know, the crossover, what, we won 13? We're about at that window now, but the time you're going to lose, what, 25 seconds? Something like that. You're not going to gain that unless everybody else does it, and it's such a gamble at the sharp end. Serrano, I don't think you can afford to take that risk now.
But some of these guys might have to. I mean, look who's having a stab at it. Miazono's going to go, whatever. Nothing to lose for Miazono. It's a long way back on this pack, but it might be worth doing something. There's 5 and a bit laps left. I don't know. Serrano might have played this one just fantastic. A bit wide down the bottom there. It doesn't matter. He's already gained a second on De Bruyne and Drummond. So now Paul Euro also coming through the field on a much healthier intermediate tyre.
Well, they pitted at the same time, didn't they?
Yeah, are we going to see another Spanish 1-2?
It's not out of the realms of possibility, is it? I mean, look, you know, Euro lost track position courtesy of the fact that he was a couple more car lengths behind Serrano, and ultimately, because of the field, they were so close to one another, it means that he's now got more hard work to do here, Paul Euro. But look at him, he's all over the back of Kylian Drummond like a bad rash, and Drummond's race and De Bruyne's race are falling apart like a cheap watch. Through the final corner we go, across the timing line, and you get the sense that Euro is going to send one through on the inside because it'll just have that much more grip under braking, and indeed he does. Look at that. Paul Euro into 3rd place. He'll have greater traction on the exit. Next target, Kai De Bruyne, and it's only a matter of time here.
Yeah, and Kai De Bruyne's stuck. He can't do anything here apart from box. Here comes Valerio Gallo also on a newer tyre as well. So all those who pitted for the intermediates a bit later are all seeing, oh, Drummond and Labuche contact the French drivers who were leading this 1-2 at the start down to 5th and 6th and still falling, and suddenly Gallo is in with a chance of a podium too.
There's no adage for experience in the Gran Turismo World Series. The podium, just to remind you, for World Series 1, Serrano, Euro and Gallo was your top 3 finishers. At the moment it looks set that could be on for a repeat. Serrano leads, but Jura's got the inside line here on Kai de Bruyne in the middle sector. Can he make it stick? Through into the left-hander, he can! And Gallo's there as well. De Bruyne loses 2 places. Drumontria tyres are absolutely toast, by the way. That's why he's sliding around like a dog on a polished floor. So he's going to surely have to come in and make a box before the end of this race. De Bruyne's going to be going backwards there as well. They're intermediate tyres. There's no water left to clear them. They're just overheating. They're all over the shop. And now we've got 2 laps left remaining. And it's Serrano, Jura and Gallo, a repeat, possibly, of the World Series 1 podium on the cards here in Berlin.
That is huge. And you know who gains 2 seconds there in Sector 2 alone? Takuma Miyazono in P9. So he's flying right now on that soft compound tyre. I think maybe a bit too far back to do anything, but still the speed is there. Who knows?
Well, look who the big winners are in that one. Guy Barbara, I know he's just picked up a 2-second penalty. Sasaki as well also made ground because they pitted at the same time as the 3 who are now in the top 3 positions here of this race. And I tell you what, Jimmy, it's not over in the battle for these podium places because Gallo, he needs as many points as he can. He's 3rd in the championship at the moment. If he can get one over of Jura, that will be enough to promote him up into 2nd in the championship, I reckon.
You'll know he'll have a go. Last lap there. Look who's the fastest on circuit right now. It's Takuma Miyazono, 1:12.1, but only 1.1 seconds faster than Serrano. Not quick enough, I think, to make that gap to the front, but quick enough to maybe challenge for a couple more positions. Meanwhile, Jura and Gallo going at it on his intermediate tyres, wearing more and more. Jura boxes.
He's boxed.
Why?
His intermediate tyres. Is he just taking a gamble? Is he deciding that these tyres are going to be slow to the end of the race and he's taking a risk? I mean, look, for our money, the safe bet, surely, 2 laps to go, you just nurse those intermediate tyres to the end of this race, but he's throwing caution to the wind. I mean, was there a gap, 5 seconds or so? Back to Sasaki, but surely he's going to be dropping track position. Let's see where he comes out of the pit lane here, Pol Jura. He's going to have the mother and father of all jobs now to do this in the last 2 laps of this race. The upshot is, though, Serrano has to play this one safe. He's got no choice. He's backed into a corner, and he's now just got to drive this one as best he can. Barbara versus De Bruyne, meanwhile. De Bruyne's still stuffing it out on the intermediate tyres, but he's going to fall down like a stone. But we're still holding our head in our hands, wondering the strategy there of Pol Jura, who's, by the looks of things, thrown away what could have been a certain podium.
I don't understand. I don't know. We'll ask him afterwards, but only he knows what's going through his own mind. But meanwhile, Kai de Bruyne fighting off Guy Barbara. I bet he didn't think he'd be battling for 4th place at the end of this. Sasaki ahead of them on the podium now. Again, someone else who probably had no idea, but Serrano is coming on to start his penultimate lap, and the pace is still there. His last lap, 14.3, starting to fall off now. But look at the gap. He can afford a couple of seconds a lap.
The drop-off is quite dramatic, I will say, on these intermediate tyres. So unless they're sort of thinking, look, if I run 2 more laps on these tyres, the rears are going to be toast, and I'm just going to be crawling around on that final lap. And that's what they're sort of gambling on. But look, let's wait and see how it all works out. I tell you, someone who'll be ruining how this race has panned out is Guy Barbara. I know he's in P5 and he's on for a strong result, but he was on the podium effectively now. He was in where Sasaki was prior to that 2-second penalty that he had a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Takuma Miyazono, we've hardly mentioned him at all here tonight. We talked about unusual strategies. He's just quietly ghosted his way up into 6th position and is now all over the back of Guy Barbara as De Bruyne versus Sasaki for the final podium place. Side by side they go. Sasaki holds it, but De Bruyne's got the inside line. Has he got the traction through on the inside? He has. Kai de Bruyne is now back up and into the podium places.
Yeah, De Bruyne wants this. He's basically on the podium the entire race. Miyazono, though, look at him. He's stuck. He can't get by Guy Barbara because he can't go off the race and lie on those soft tyres, but the traction's there. And now, it's only 1 more lap left. Is Sasaki going to be far enough ahead to keep his position from Takuma Miyazono? This has been a ridiculous race. Jose Serrano starts his last lap, so he's now leading into T1, 6 seconds between him and Valerio Gallo. Kai de Bruyne 3rd, Sasaki 4th just from Takuma Miyazono, and Guy Barbara 6th. Pol Jura 7th after boxing for a reason we can't comprehend. This race has been ridiculous.
Well, look, the points rankings here for Jose Serrano. It would be a clean sweep in the Nations Cup for him so far. But Pol Jura, he'd have been on for a level 2nd place with Valerio Gallo had he finished where he was. The upshot is he's now looking set to not finish on the podium unless other drivers fall into severe misfortunes in the final half a lap here at this Red Bull Ring circuit. But Jose Serrano, his rear tyres are absolutely knackered at the moment. They're right down to the canvas, the cord, and anything that's underneath that. And he's just going to be cruising his way. But he's got, what, 7 seconds in his pocket. And unless he makes a slip up of his lines in the final sector, I think this race is going to go the way of Jose Serrano. And what a drive it has proven to be. 2 more corners from home, and this is going to feel like the longest 2 of the young Spaniard's life. He now makes his way around the final corner. Jose Serrano makes it 2 wins from 2 races in the Nations Cup here in Berlin. What a performance from the Spaniard. Second place for Valerio Gallo and P3 for Kai de Bruyne. His first ever podium in the Gran Turismo World Series. Sasaki versus Miyazono, and Miyazono mugs Sasaki at the checkered flag there as well. And Paul Ura, well, from what we saw, it looks like he threw away what could have been an almost certain podium here tonight.
I'm not allowed to describe this race in the way I want to because we're
down by Ofcom.
Yeah, we're a friendly stream that way. But what happened there? That was a ridiculous race, and how well played by Jose Serrano. You know what, going into this final, I was like, nah, he's not in it. It's going to be between the French guys, who ended 7th and 8th, by the way, Leboutelet and Drummond. But Serrano just showing what experience means in these GT live events. Valerio Gallo, an amazing second place, who finished with pretty much no rear left tyre, and Kai de Bruyne finally getting back on the podium where he belongs. A couple of steps maybe lower than he wanted, but still an impressive performance there from the Dutchman.
Yeah, I have to say, if you are